Welcome to Chapter 2 of the Book of Fog of the Books of Jacob. My name's Jeff Rich and I'm doing a slow read of Olga Tokarczuk's Nobel Prize for Literature winning novel, The Books of Jacob, the book I've got in my hand right here. All through this year, over 32 weeks, I will be reading one small excerpt from one chapter each week here. And also, if you go to jeffrich.substack.com, the Burning Archive Substack, you can get my weekly guides to the story of each chapter without any spoilers, but with give you a bit of a guiding hand through this book to keep track of the many characters, the many wonderful characters among Olga Tokarczuk's greatest skill, and also the historical context, which may not be familiar to you at the outset, but you will discover you may know more about than perhaps you think, and might have some parallels with our own times as well. So in this week, I'm doing a short reading of Chapter 2 of the Book of Fog. And we're introducing a key character who I discuss over at my Substack at jeffrich.substack.com, Katarzyna Kozakowska, a Polish noblewoman. Kozakowska is her married name. Her born name is Patoshka. And she is from one of the leading aristocratic or noble Schlachter families, the magnate, the most powerful families of the Commonwealth of Poland, Lithuania in the 18th century, the Patoshki. I provide a little guidance to the nature of Polish or East European society, or particularly Poland, Lithuania, the Commonwealth of Poland, Lithuania society, in which the nobility, the Szlachta, had a particular role and a particular commitment to their freedom, which also perhaps weakened the state and led to some of the series of unfortunate events that are going to unfold in the story of the books of Jacob. And Kozakowska is also a fascinating insight into the way in which Olga Tokarczuk treats women in history, and I've got a little bit more about that over at the Substack as well. She is a totally remarkable character, and again, this is in the Book of Fog, and I want to read you a brief passage from this in which what's happened is we met last week Benedict Himlowski coming into the town of Rohatyn in Poland, in eastern Poland, western Ukraine, and he at the same time, two women, Katarzyna Kozakowska and her steward, her house manager, governess, a poet as well, Elżbieta Drubaska, come in a carriage which breaks down coincidentally in the same fog-bound town of Rohatyn. And this is what happens next in the start of this little section that is titled Of Blood-Stained Silks. Effectively, we met Kozakowska moaning and groaning with period pains in her broken down carriage. Zizmon Lebieski, married to Pelagia of the Patoshki family, is a cousin, a distant one, but a cousin all the same of Katarzyna Kozakowska. His wife isn't there. She's visiting her family's estate in the next village over. Overwhelmed by their unexpected arrival, he hurriedly buttons up his French-cut jacket and pulls down his lace cuffs. Bienvenue, bienvenue, he says in French. He repeats mechanically as Druzhbaska and the servants take Kozakowska upstairs, where their host has given his cousin the finest rooms in the house. Then, muttering something to himself, he sends for Reuben, the medic of Rahatan, another character. Quelque chose de féminin, he says. He is something feminine. He is not altogether pleased about this visit, or rather, he isn't pleased at all. He was just getting ready to head to a certain somewhere, a place where cards may on a regular basis be played. The very thought of it raises his blood pressure in an agreeable way, as if the best liqueur were taking effect. Yet how much nervous energy does he squander upon this addiction? His only consolation is that more important people and richer people, and people commanding much greater respect, also sit down to a game of cards from time to time. Lately he's been playing with Bishop Soltuk, who we will meet later on, hence this better outfit. He was just about to head out. His vehicle was already harnessed, but of course now he can't go. Someone else will win. He takes a deep breath and rubs his hands together as if trying to reassure himself that it's okay. He'll get to play some other evening. Kozakowska's fever rages all night long. Druzhbaska fears her friend may be delirious. She and Agnieszka, the lady in waiting, apply cold compresses to her head. And then the hurriedly summoned medic arranges herbs about. Now their aroma, which seems to contain anise and licorice, hovers in a sweet cloud over the bedclothes, and Kozakowska falls asleep. The doctor tells them to put cold compresses on her belly and on her forehead. The whole house gets calmer, and the candles dim. Of course, it's not the first time Kozakowska is so troubled by her monthly ailment, and it will certainly not be the last. There is no one to blame for it. The reason is most likely the way young girls are brought up on these nobles' estates in musty manners without any physical exercise. The girls sit hunched over their embroidery hoops, embellishing their priestly stoles. The diet in such places is heavy, meaty. Muscles get weak. And on top of all that, Kozakowska likes to travel. Whole days spent in a carriage, relentless noise and jostling, nerves and endless intrigues, politics. For what is Katarzyna if not the emissary of Klemens Branitzky? It is his interest she is pursuing now, after all. She does a good job of it because she has the soul of a man. That's what people say about her anyway. And she is treated in accordance with this view. Druzhbaska doesn't see that supposed masculinity. All she sees is a woman who likes to be in charge. She's tall and sure of herself, and she has a booming voice. People also say that Kozakowska's husband, who is not exactly blessed by nature, he is shrimpy and misshapen, is impotent. When he was trying for her hand, they say he stood atop a sack of money to compensate for his small stature. Even if children are not in God's plan for her, Kozakowska does not appear at all unhappy. The gossip is that when she argues with her husband, when she gets really angry, she seizes him by the waist and sets him on the mantel. And because he's afraid to get down, he is forced to hear her out. But why would such an attractive woman choose a runt like him. Very likely in order to fortify the family finances, as finances are best fortified by such political stratagems as these. The two women undressed Kozakovska together, and with every article of clothing the Castellan's wife shed, the being by the name of Katarzyna emerged a bit more from within. And then there was Kasia, moaning and crying as she sank through their fingers, depleted utterly. The doctor told them to place dressings of clean linen between her legs and give her lots of fluids to force her to drink, particularly his decoctions of some bark or other. How thin this woman seems to Druzbaska, and because she is so thin, how young, though in fact she is already 30. When Kozakovska fell asleep, Agnieszka and Druzbaska got to work on the bloodied clothing with its vast crimson patches, starting with her underwear, her petticoats and her skirt, finishing with her navy blue coat. How many such bloodstains does a woman see over the course of her lifetime, wonders Druzbaska. Kozakovska's beautiful dress is made of thick cream-coloured satin, covered here and there with little red flowers, bell flowers, and one little green leaf on the left side and another on the right. It's a light, cheerful pattern which suits Kozakovska's slightly darker skin and dark hair. Now bloodstains have flooded these joyful little flowers, their ominous, irregular contours completely swallowing up any ordered pattern, as if malicious forces had escaped from somewhere, surfacing here. There is a particular kind of science that exists on these sorts of estates, the science of coaxing out bloodstains. For centuries it has been taught to future wives and mothers. If a university for women were ever to come about, it would be the most important subject. Childbirth, menstruation, war, fights, forays, pogroms, raids, all of it sheds blood, ever at the ready, just beneath the skin. What to do with that internal substance that has the gall to make its way out? What kind of lye to wash it out? What vinegar to rinse it with? Perhaps try dampening a rag with a couple of tears and then rubbing carefully, or soak in saliva. It befalls sheets and bedclothes, underwear, petticoats, shirts, aprons, bonnets and kerchiefs, lace cuffs and frills, corsets and sukmanas, carpets, floorboards, bandages and uniforms. When the doctors leave, both women, Druzbaska and Agnieszka, fall asleep. They've fallen asleep on either side of the bed, one kneeling with her head resting on her own hand on the bed, leaving a mark on her cheek that will remain for the duration of the evening, the other in an armchair with her head dropping onto her chest. Her breathing sets the delicate lace around her throat in motion, like anemones in a temperate sea. Absolutely exquisite writing, don't you think? And all those bloodstains in this first book of fog are perhaps symbols, perhaps ominous, of some of the series of unfortunate events that are about to unfold in the books of Jacob. And lots of clues there about the nature of Polish society, some of the roles of women in history. And I've got more on that, as well as on the real character, such as we know of of Katarzyna Kozakowska, including an actual portrait of the real woman herself, at my Substack, jeffrich.substack.com. So why don't you head on there after this video and get more out of your slow read of Olga Tokarczuk's Nobel Prize winning novel, historical novel, I think the best historical novel of the 21st century, The Books of Jacob. Thanks so much for watching.